Something that never ceases to amaze me about learning art skills is how long it takes between understanding the idea and the principle and being really good at that thing. So for example, my friend Jared Cullum has been teaching me to paint for years. And for the first 2 years, every week I'd submit a painting, like some homework to him, and every week he'd have the same feedback for me. And I'm like, why am I not doing this every week? And every week I'd be determined, I'm gonna do it this time. Maybe everything else will go wrong, but I'll at least do this one thing he keeps telling me to do. And I'd submit it and be like, hey, this is great. He's very kind and patient. He'd say, this is good, but you're still not doing this one thing that you're supposed to do. Oh, super frustrating. But I got there in the end, and it is one of the most important skills, probably top 3 important skills in art, depending on what kind of art you want to do. But for most people, this is like a top 3 skill. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about simplifying your values into a simple structure. Wow. If you can do this, the impact is huge. Most courses, good courses, a lot of them will start here. Will start from simplifying values, especially your painting courses. But they might have the first week about that. But the reality is that it's not going to take a week to learn this. It's going to take a ton of repetition and time. The idea is pretty straightforward and simple. I'm going to describe it now, but the actual getting good at it is the hard part. So that's what we're going to look at later in the video. So what's the idea? You simplify the values. So look at this painting by John Singer Sargent. We've been analyzing this in the Life Drawing Study Group. It's been a ton of fun. But what I asked people to do was to simplify this down into 3 values. So in this case, it's going to be that light value, like on her skin, then like a middle dark for the background, and then the darkest dark, like her dress and stuff like that, right? And when you do that, you realize that really the painting is built on a few big, simple shapes. And just because of that, it doesn't mean that it's really basic or unfinished or whatever. It looks like a fully realized, really sophisticated painting, but it's built on a very simple structure of shapes. And when we're beginners at art, we tend to make our images really convoluted, make the values kind of all over the place, add lots of contrast all over the place. And one of them, there's a few reasons for that, but one of them is that whatever we're looking at when we're drawing or painting it, we get affected by something called simultaneous contrast illusion, which I've talked about before. So here's a cool example of simultaneous contrast illusion at play in this photo. The 2 stones with the red arrows pointing to them are the same gray, right? It's crazy. The one in the shadow looks so much brighter, but that's just because of the context around that stone. It's pretty crazy, it's pretty cool. But a nice example is the table legs on this painting. So for a few people, when I asked them to make this into just 3 values, they would put those table legs into the lightest value, as if it's as light almost as her skin. But let's pick out those colors and bring them out, and we can see.
So here I've picked various spots on the painting. So the darkest bit of her dress, and then the light, bright looking bits of her dress. The dark background where the cast shadow is, and the lighter bit of the background. The light bit of the table leg, the dark bit of her hair. And so there's various values here, but let's get the value range from darkest to lightest and see where these colors are on that range. So you can see they all fall within this area, within this zone, on the darker side of things. And then how about her skin? What if we pull that color across? Where's that? It is way lighter. It's not even close to that range. It's in a completely different realm of value, much lighter than the rest.
And so we can see that John Singer Sargent used this to his advantage. So he could make that table leg feel shiny without if he made it as light as the skin, then the table leg would start to distract away attention from the main thing that he wants the attention to go to. But because we kind of exaggerate these contrasts, he can make the table leg feel bright, but without using a really strong, bright value. So it's a big disadvantage when you're starting out, this illusion that we have in our brains, but you can use it to your advantage when you get good at it. So here's another quick example we've been looking at. This guy with his jacket. The jacket looks fully realized. We can feel the fabric and we can see it's a jacket. But actually when you squint at it, you can see it's basically all in the same value range. It's all in the very dark end of the spectrum of values, nowhere near the focal point, which is the very light value on the guy's face. So number one is noticing and accepting your fears. Now I know that's a strange place to start. I have 3 technical steps for you, but none of them are going to work until you figure this one out. So apparently, one of the reasons that we have this mechanism in our heads where we exaggerate these contrasts is for survival. We need to be able to detect threats. So if you have like a load of grass and then there's a snake in there, you got to be able to see that snake. Even if the snake is roughly the same value and a similar color to the rest of the grass, as an artist, you want to maybe just be able to see lots of different things as the same value if they're a similar value. But if you're surviving, you want to be able to notice that little difference where the snake is. So that's why we're exaggerating the contrast, apparently. Now, when we're drawing and painting, we're not afraid of getting bitten by a snake, but we are afraid of something, which is the drawing or the painting isn't going to look like what it's supposed to be. That's what our fear is. And so that's why I think people really want to bring out all these little contrasts that they're seeing. It's like I'm drawing the figure, there's the foot. I want to make sure it looks like a foot. So I'm going to add all this information and all this contrast from light to dark. I'm really going to try and clarify it so it looks like what it's supposed to be. I don't want to be embarrassed and do a drawing that doesn't look like what it is. And so we have this fear. Now, the fear there is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because probably the thing that is going to make the drawing or painting look worse is that fear, is what you're doing to try and make it look like the thing, like trying to force it to look like what it is. It happens a ton with faces. If you can abstract the face into simple, shapes and draw those, it is a lot more likely to work than if you try to draw the eye and the nose and the mouth and stuff like that. So the second, let's see, that's rude in the UK, sorry. So the second step is to squint. Squinting is your superpower that will help you fight this evil villain of simultaneous contrast illusion. You squint down, all those little contrasts that don't matter melt away, and all the contrasts that do matter stay there, right? So some contrasts really matter. For example, the ones which show the big, simple ideas about the form, like this side of the face is being hit by light and that side isn't, or something like that. Those big, important ideas that do need to have some contrast in your image will stay when you squint at what you're drawing and painting, and the stuff that doesn't matter is going to melt away. So for your first step, squint at what you're drawing and painting. It is like this built-in, really awesome technique, and you can already do it. Study master paintings and drawings. So the cool thing about these master drawings and paintings is that the artist has already figured out the value structure for us, and it's already there. So what this person was seeing when they were doing the drawing on the painting, if they're doing it from life, wasn't probably this simple. It didn't have this beautifully designed value structure. They did that. That's the artist creating that for us, and it's already done. So when you're doing the study of them, you can squint at the painting, and that's going to reveal that simple structure of values. So the fourth step is to start doing value studies from life. So not from master paintings, but from life. It could be still life, landscape, figure, whatever you're interested in. You're going to squint at it, and you're going to try and create a simple value structure with 2 to 5 values. And that doesn't mean you stop the master painting studies. You can keep doing those for the rest of your life, really. They're always going to benefit you, but you can also now do it from life. Now, when you're doing it, try to choose, if it's like whether it's a reference photo or real life, try to make sure the lighting setup is good for this exercise. So I would recommend when you're starting out, just use one simple single light source. So then it's going to be really clear what's happening with the forms and with the shadows. There's going to be one light source. Some parts of the forms are going to get hit by light and be bright lighter, and then the form is going to turn and the shadow is going to start, and then things are going to be darker. So then the value is going to explain the form, which is really useful. And there's going to be more simple cast shadows as well, because it's just one light source and the objects are going to cast a simple shadow. So that's how I would start. Ideally, the angle of the light source is, and your viewing angle is going to be such that you see the part of the form that is lit and also part of the form that is in shadow. So you don't want it to be like you're viewing the form and you're only seeing the lit part, or you're only seeing the shadow part, but you want to kind of see both. Because then as you build up your simple set of values, those values are going to explain how the form is turning. Because it's like this side's getting hit by light, but then this side isn't, so it's darker, and now the values are helping explain the forms, which is one of the great things about value. Okay, so here's my last point about this, is that this is very important. So I don't quite know how to get this across, but like the idea doesn't take that long to describe. And so if you have a 10-week course, this might be in the first week. And then like that lesson adequately explains the idea, and then the teacher's going to move on because they've explained that idea. Or if you get a book, it might be 1 chapter out of 20 chapters, because it's not super complex. And on this channel, you know, it's a small percentage of the videos are about this, about establishing a simple value structure for your drawings and paintings. But that's the supply side, that's the teacher side. Like, I need to explain all of this, and I only need 10% of my time to explain this values thing. But for you as the learner, how much of your time how much of your effort should you dedicate to this idea is way more than that. This is more important. You might get a book and there's a whole chapter about how to, you know, draw facial features or something. This is going to be more useful to your portraits than all of that.
In case you don't have it already, we have a free PDF guide that takes you through all the skills of figure drawing in order. So check that out with the link below. And in September, we're running our course, Life Drawing Simplified. In 6 weeks, you can build a super solid foundation for your figure drawing and transform your skills. It only runs a few times a year, so be sure to stay on our newsletter to stay up to date with that. And here on the screen is a super useful video about balance. So if you're interested in figure drawing technique, this is such an underrated topic, so check it out.